Hi folks, how you all doing? How you all doing? Oh goodness, folks, I'm so sorry that taking so long to read this book and then taking and it paused so long before I could come back on to read. But a lot of things have happened since the last time I was on. I lost a dear family member, dear loved one, Mama. Miss Dorrit Wood. She passed on Thursday. Thursday the 9th of this month, July, and it's just sad. So I've just been busy up and down and stuff, but just you sit down and you think, sometimes you just say, what is life? Life is so short. It really has you. It really makes you sit down and look into things and just to realize that life is so short. As humans, we just have to live good, love each other, help each other, the best way that we can. That life is so short. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. I'm telling you. And everything just happens so fast. So, it just, the friend of mine once said that, as sure as you're alive, well, not everybody believe this, but a friend of mine once said that as sure as you're alive or as sure as you're born, you're going to die. So we're not sure about anything, we're sure about that. But even when a loved one is sick and you're expecting to, it's gonna happen. But when it happens, it's really sad. It can be so devastating. What may her soul rest in peace. Dorrit Maywood. May her soul rest in peace. Her soul rest in peace. Well, anyway, folks, so we're back. Welcome to Karen Vibes, reading for the mature audience. And please forgive my absence. Please forgive my absence. I don't know when I'll stop being so busy and just having a lot to do. But in a sense, I like to keep busy because even at this point in time, now when you're busy and you're grieving for a loved one, the busyness keeps you from overthinking and feeling down and depressed and sad. So yeah, in this point in time, I'm glad to be busy. It helps you not to think too much, and feel down. I'm actually having some cave spicy tea. So this is bay leaf tea that I'm having, and it's really good. So folks, I'm still selling my teas, still giving away teas. So if you're interested, let me know. Might just get a free box or 2 boxes of tea with a purchase. Yes, folks, so we're back. So welcome back. And we're just going to get right into it. So we're still at chapter 24. Alright, I know I normally introduce my books. The name of my book is Flowers in the Attic, and it's written by Virginia Andrews and narrated by moi, Karen. And folks, today again I left my glass up at the top house. So don't get scared because sometimes my left eye tends to get a bit cast. So don't be frightened looking at me and wondering what happened to my eye. So the muscles of my eye is weak, and then sometimes my eye just goes in. Other time it's normal. So just one of those things. I guess we all have challenges, don't we? In one way or the other. Anyway. Right, so we're still at chapter 24, and as usual I like to read back apart from where I stopped the last time. So let's just get into it. He's already been buried. So this was the part where the mother came in and told him that, remember the part we were reading? If you've been following me, and the mother came in with the stepmother and said, oh, they carried Corey. So Corey, one of the twins, got sick, and Kathy pleaded with her mom to carry him to the hospital to get some treatment. And then the mom came back with the grandmother and saying that, oh, we're on our way with him, and when he passed and he died. Which we know they're lying. So we just continue reading. So if you haven't been following me, you can just go on my page. So it's Karen Vibes. So it's KarenVibes, and that's with an exclamation sign on YouTube. And you can always follow what I've read so far, and you can catch up, right? So let's just get into it. He's already been buried, said Mommy. I had a false name put on the tombstone. Can you imagine all of that was done in one night? That mother is something else. Anyway, I had a false name put on the tombstone. And then, very quickly, she escaped the room and our questions. So let me read this back again. So she's talking to them now. She's saying, he's already been buried, said Mommy. I had a false name put on the tombstone. And then, very quickly, she escaped the room and our questions. And the grandmother followed, her lips set in a grim, thin line. But we all know that they're lying, that they didn't carry him to any hospital. But we shall read on. Right before our horrified eyes, Carrie shriveled more each day. I felt God might as well have taken Carrie too, and buried her alongside Corey in that faraway grave with the wrong name that didn't even have the comfort of a father buried nearby. None of us could eat much. We became listless and tired, always tired. Nothing held our interest. Tears, tears. Chris and I cried 5 oceans of tears. We assumed all the blame. A long time ago, we should have escaped. We should have used that wooden key and gone for help. We had let Corey die. He had been our responsibility, our dear quiet little boy of many talents, and we had let him die. Now we had a small sister huddled in a corner, growing weaker each passing day. Folks, nothing like a nice cup of tea. Chris said in a low voice so Carrie wouldn't overhear, just in case she was listening, though I doubted she was. She was blind, deaf, mute, our babbling brook dammed. We've got to run, Kathy, and quick, or we are all going to die like Corey. Something is wrong with all of us. We've been locked up too long. We have lived abnormal lives, like being in a vacuum without germs, without the infections children usually come in contact with. We are without resistance to infection, so we're gonna find out now why Corey got sick and died. Tory come as they say in Jamaica, Tory come to bump. I don't understand, I said. What I mean is, he whispered, as we huddled in the same chair, like the creatures from Mars in that book, The War of the Worlds. We could all die from a single cold germ. Horrified, I could only stare at him. He knew so much more than I did. I turned my gaze on Carrie in the corner, her sweet baby face, with eyes too large and shadowed underneath, stared blankly forward at nothing. I knew she had her visions fixed on eternity, where Corey was. All the love I'd given Corey, I put into Carrie now. So afraid for her. Such a tiny skeleton body, and her neck was so weak, too small for her head. Was this the way all the Dresden dolls were going to end? Chris, if we have to die, it's going to be like mice in a trap. If germs can kill us, then let it be germs. So when you steal tonight, take everything of value. So when you steal tonight, take everything of value you can find, and and that we can carry. I'll pack a lunch to take along. With Corey's clothes taken from the suitcases, we'll have more room. Before the morning comes, we'll be gone. So they finally go and head out now. No, he said quietly. Only if we know Mommy and her husband have gone out. Only then I can take all the money and leave, and all the jewelry in one fell swoop. Take only what we absolutely need. No toys, no games. And Kathy, Mommy may not go out tonight. Certainly, she can't attend parties in her time of mourning. How could she mourn when she had to keep her husband? How could she mourn when she had to keep her husband always in the dark? Just a second, folks. Just sorry about that. And no one came but the grandmother, and no one came but the grandmother to tell us what was going on. She refused to speak to us or look at us. In my mind, we were already on our way, and I looked at her as if she were already, and I looked at her as if she were already part of the past. Now that our time to depart was so near, I felt frightened. I felt frightened. It was big, it was big out there. We'd be on our own. What would the world think of us now? Thought I saw something crawling on the table. Let's see, man. We weren't beautiful like we used to be. Only pale and sickly. Only pale and sickly. Attic mice was long. Sorry, we weren't beautiful like we used to be. Only pale and sickly attic mice with long flaxen hair, wearing expensive but ill-fitting clothes and sneakers on our feet. Chris and I had educated ourselves from reading. So many books and television had taught us much about violence, about greed, about imagination, but it had taught us hardly anything that was practical and useful in preparing us to face reality. Survival. That's what TV should teach innocent children. How to live in a world that really doesn't give a damn about anyone but their own, and sometimes not even their own. Money. If there was one thing we'd learned during the years of our imprisonment, it was that money came first and everything else came after. How well Mommy had said it long ago. It's not love that makes the world go around, it's money. And I guess we all know that. Some people, well, not that I believe that, but Money. If there was one thing we'd learned during the years of wearing Prince, sorry, I'm reading that back, sorry. I took Corey's small clothes from the suitcase, his second best sneakers, two pairs of pajamas, and all the time tears fell and my nose ran. In one of the side pockets of the suitcase, I found sheet music he must have packed himself. Oh, it did hurt to pick up those sheets and see the lines he had drawn by using a ruler, and his little black notes and half notes so crookedly done. And beneath the musical score, he had taught himself to write down the music from an encyclopedia. Chris had found for him. So, from an encyclopedia Chris had found for him. Corey had written words to a Corey had written words to a half completed song, and it goes like this: I wish the night would end. I wish the day begin. I wish it would rain or snow, or the wind would blow, or the grass would grow. I wish I had yesterday. I wish there was games to play. Oh God, was there ever such a sad song? So these were the lyrics to a tune I'd heard him play over and over, wishing always, wishing for something he couldn't have, something all other little boys accepted as a normal, unremarkable part of their lives. I could have screamed the anguish that I felt. Whoa, that's really sad. Guys, I'm telling you. Whoa. Really, really sad. Anyway, let's read on. I went to sleep with Corey on my mind, and like always, when I was most troubled, I fell into dreams. But this time it was only me. I found myself on a winding dirt path with wide flat pastures that grew wildflowers of cris- that grew wildflowers of crimson and pink on the left, and on the right, yellow and white blossoms swayed gently in the soft, warm, kind breezes of eternal spring. A small child clung to my hand. I looked down, expecting to see Carrie, but it was Corey. He was laughing and happily. He was laughing and happy, and he skipped along beside me, his short legs trying to keep pace with mine. And in his hand he held a bouquet of the wild flowers. He smiled up at me and was about to speak when we heard the twitterings of many brightly colored birds in the parasol trees ahead. A tall, dim, a tall, slim man with golden hair, his skin deeply tanned, wearing white tennis clothes, came striding forward from a glorious garden of abundant trees and radiant flowers, including roses of all colors. So Kathy is actually dreaming, so she's describing what she dreamed. He passed a dozen yards away and held his arms out to Corey. My heart, even in my dream, pounded with excitement and joy. It was Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Daddy had come to meet Corey, so he wouldn't have to travel alone the rest of the way. And though I knew I should release Corey's small, hot hand, I would hold him forever with me. Daddy looked at me, not with pity, not with not with reprimand, but only with pride and admiration. And I let go of Corey's hand and stood to watch him joyfully run into Daddy's arms. He was swept up by powerful arms that once used to hold me and make me feel all the world was a wonderful thing. Sorry, that once used to hold me and make me feel all the world was a wonderful thing. And I would sleep and I would step down the path too and feel those arms about me once again and allow Daddy to take me where he would. Kathy, wake up, said Chris, sitting on my bed and shaking me. You're talking in your sleep and laughing and crying and saying hello and then goodbye. Why is it your dream? Why is it you dream so much? My dreams spilled from me so fast my words were gurgled. My words were garbled. Chris just sat there and stared at me, as did Carrie, who had awaited to hear as well. It had been so long since I last saw my father. His face had faded in my memory. But as I looked at Chris, I grew very confused. He was so very much like Daddy, only younger. That dreams, that dream was that dream was to haunt me many a day. Pleasantly, it gave me peace. It gave me knowledge I hadn't had before. People never really died. Well, in my opinion, and I was talking to what I speak. I speak to a friend of mine today, and this is just my belief, folks. But I believe that the spirit lives on. The spirit does not die. Because I believe our bodies are like a vessel, like a container where you put water. For example, a container where you put water in. So I don't believe the spirit dies. Spirit doesn't die. But of course, it's my opinion. Where did I reach? It gave me knowledge I hadn't had before. It gave me the knowledge I hadn't had before. People never really died. They only went on to a better place, to wait a while for their loved ones to join them. And then once more they went back to the world. And then once more they went back to the world in the same way they had arrived the first time around. Sorry. So I guess some people believe in reincarnation, as Cassie is describing here. So, folks, that's the end of chapter 24. And when we get back on, and I promise you, will not be that long, not be long. Because really, we're getting to the end. So chapter 25 will be the escape. So chapter 25 heading is escape. So they'll be escaping from the attic. Finally, hip hip hooray. So that's the end of chapter 24, folks. And we pause there for tonight. So thank you, folks, as usual, for listening. Thank you for taking the time to come onto my page. I really appreciate you all. All of my subscribers, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So you all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night and have a productive Thursday ahead. And we'll be back on in short order. And as usual, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And do leave your comments. Big up to Carol K. Big up to Miss Carol K. Really appreciate your comments. It's nice when you read and interact, and persons can actually, leave a note, leave a message, and, say something. So I do appreciate that. So thank you all. You have a good night, and we'll be back in short order. Take care of yourselves. Love each other. Peace out, guys.